Wake up, Matt. You're sleeping. Wake up.
Do you want to know how awake
sleeping.
I am right now?
How awake are you right now?
Hey everybody, welcome back to Superhero Roundup on SourceFedNERD. I'm Matt Lieberman. I'm Sane.
I'm DJ Wolder.
And this is the show where we talk about all the TV shows about superheroes that are on TV, and we also talk about all the DC and Marvel movie news that we can possibly get our hands on, TV news, so on and so forth. First things first, we're going to talk about Gotham. We're going to do it in real quick.
I feel like, weirdly enough, I feel like this was the best episode of Gotham we've ever gotten.
You've said that so many times.
Yeah, I know, and this is still not good. This is as good as like a mediocre episode of Constantine.
Okay,
You know
I
what
see
mean?
that.
And
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is because of the Electrocutioner, which looks like he would have fit right in a Joel Schumacher Batman film.
Yeah.
And you realize that's the show they want to be making. But there's still little stupid things, like they hide Maroni in the police station because it's the safest place in the world, and in the city. And then you have a shot of the Electrocutioner breaking into the police station. You pull out, you see his henchman standing around the corner with the van right in front of him that's like electronics and everything. You pull out further, there's cop cars parked next to it, and one pulls in. Like literally, if you just looked over here, like, isn't that the guy?
Yeah.
Is that the guy?
Also, safest place in Gotham that Victor Zsasz
Just
totally broke
into
into and like killed a bunch of people a couple episodes ago.
Yeah. So like
Remember
a lot better, but still not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. The strength of the villain is really the best thing about this episode. Gordon's back at the police station now as a detective through plot contrivances.
Yeah.
I wish the
And
show
they
would
finally kind of resolved what's been going on with the mob stuff, which was nice. They finally be rid of that.
Yeah, except like the freaking like, Penguin, he got zapped and then he like mumbles, I need to see Maroni, and then passes out that he can't remember that he told his... I'm so tired of this show.
Anyway, so now let's move on to Constantine.
Yay! I can
Now, Matt, you
contribute.
didn't see
I did not see
Constantine.
this week's.
What were your...
That's sad. It's real good.
It is good.
I liked how extreme this episode got with the heroin.
Yeah. Like they gave him enough heroin to like kill a horse, right?
But don't you dare light up a cigarette.
No,
Don't you
no.
dare light up a cigarette.
You can
And-
have a
But
lit
even
cigarette
worse,
in your mouth.
don't
but-
call him Constantine.
Don't
Yeah.
you dare call him Constantine.
But if you
Also-
want to shoot heroin,
Yeah.
go
Okay.
to
Well,
town.
obviously
Wait,
we
we
don't
got
see it.
painkillers. Do we want painkillers? No, we need something stronger. Heroin. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. I love that. I love the demon stuff. It was great. And the nun using her little astral projection.
Here's the thing.
That was great.
Constantine, to escape the events of last episode where he was shot and that big creepy Evangé thing who showed up out of nowhere was going to get him, allowed himself to be possessed by a more powerful demon to scare that away.
A demon king.
Yeah, so now he's trying to get rid of it, and he ends up in one of the best shots of the whole show. Somebody's like, what's the worst that could happen? And Constantine wakes up on the ground, and it pans out, and there's all these mutilated dead people around him. He nuked a gang, and now he's in a Mexican prison where Pedro from
Napoleon Dynamite, yeah, it was great.
is a drug dealer. And the great thing about getting in and out of the prison, it allowed Chaz and Zed and the nun to do things that are unique to characters, not just some random. It's
Right.
characters doing things based on their characters to resolve the situation.
By the way, if that nun became one of the supporting characters for the show, wouldn't be mad.
Yeah,
She was great.
Wouldn't be mad about it. She was really good, and also they have to exorcise the demon, which like a little bit of punch. He says like mean things to them, but we don't. Like Zed and Chaz are so paper thin, like it doesn't really.
Yeah.
Except his thing about Chaz, like you're just always there, just doing what I say. It's like that's pretty much his only.
There was a
function
little
in the
bit of
show.
backstory, but they
he
didn't
seems
go
kind
into
of
it
okay
at all.
with
Yeah. So again, signs of improvement. I do hope it gets picked up for a second season, just so we
Me
can keep
too.
improving. Yeah.
But right now on its course, I haven't heard anything positive. I have
Yeah.
not heard anything positive whatsoever, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
But
no new Agent Carter this week, which is a huge bummer. But we did get two of our favorite shows back, Flash and Arrow.
and they were both real good.
Great episodes. Let's talk about Flash first. What do we
Flash
think?
first.
Captain Cold.
yeah.
that showdown was awesome.
Yeah.
Did it make much sense? No.
Not really.
Why would you do that? And then you brought up a good point. It's like, wouldn't they have? He brought up a point that why don't they just have a sniper to take out the two villains?
Yeah, there's
in the
a-
middle of a metropolis.
Yeah, there's
Yep.
at least 2 points where they're like distracted by the Flash and just standing there. You have a bunch of cops like, man, this is crazy. Yeah.
Make sure your
Man,
shield's there.
the Flash is real.
Yeah, they could have just like
Wow.
shot him, and I think the only
you
reason that it
believe
makes it stand out more is because of in Captain Cold's first appearance how he worked situations to be more in his favor, and this was kind of one of those like it's real cool but it doesn't make a lot of sense.
He does seem kind of dumbed down, but the good thing for me is that Heat Wave flat out says it. Like, you're supposed to be the dude who always knows what's going on and like plans really well. Why are your plans so crappy? And he's like, I just want to take out the Flash.
Well, but here's the other thing. I really like Dominic Purcell for 2 reasons. I loved how over the top he was.
Yeah,
and it also created a good contrast for Leonard Snart. It allowed him, like, I understand his character better now because of Heat Wave. And he got little lines like when they're arrested and somebody's like, man, your partner's a real hothead. And Captain Cold's little like, it's funny. It's like, I like this guy.
Yeah.
He's a smart ass. I like him.
Ooh, note that CGI with Barry catching the rocket and throwing it back at the drone in the very beginning, very strong start to the mid-season. That was perfect. And I like seeing Barry like a little bit more determined. I liked his growth.
Yeah, and I also like that they resolved a little bit because at the end of last season, after Reverse Flash has done all these things, like, hey, let's just have a fun holiday thing. And there's a guy that's faster than me that could kill us all. And in a blink of an eye, at least they establish a reason for Barry to kind of like let that go a little bit while facing other threats. At least kind of explaining why we're not going to be completely paranoid about the Reverse Flash.
He is a little.
He is a little. And he was a lot more. He was more believably concerned at the beginning of the episode, but the way they get like, we have to take care of other things,
right?
Instead of just wait around.
Well, it's an important lesson, right?
Yeah.
It's an important lesson at this point in the game when you have a nemesis who is actively targeting your whole family network. Yeah. We need to establish why it's okay for us to do other things, but also that he's taking him very seriously. And once again, we got a great Dr. Wells and Joe moment where it's just like, oh man, you don't trust him. Love watching these two play.
I love the cat and mouse between those two. And again, once again, every scene Joe's in, he elevates everybody else that's in it.
Yeah,
I like seeing Eddie Thawne also jump in and to save the Flash.
Even though it made no sense.
No, it did not. How did they not see him coming? He was running straight.
But also like he hated him and now he doesn't hate him for some reason.
I'm okay with that. Going to the hate didn't make much sense. Then he beat him up. Okay, and then in an
Reverse
episode,
Flash beat him up, and then
Flash
maybe he doesn't hate him anymore because Iris isn't writing her blog posts anymore. She's moving in. He doesn't feel threatened.
Yeah, a lot more interested in Barry moving in with Joe than Iris moving in with Eddie.
That's cute.
Also, like the developments with Firestorm. I like that Firestorm. Not a big fan of the Atom acronym. Bigger fan of the Firestorm acronym because that makes his stupid line from earlier make a little bit of sense.
That's fair, but that's a long.
It's
acronym.
That's
a long acronym.
I dare you to say that 5 times
I don't
fast.
even know.
He said transmutation twice in there, so I'm like, it must be transmutation. Whatever that is, yeah.
Whatever it is. I'm also interested that because they mentioned the army coming in and taking a bunch of stuff, I'm wondering if General Eiling is connected to that as well as Grodd.
Yeah.
Also, with all the talk of, because transmutation deals with Firestorm's abilities, but it also reflects Metamorpho's abilities. So it'd be cool if Firestorm's like the, hey, we did this right version of that, and Metamorpho's like, oh, we kind of fucked up.
Be cool.
Because Metamorph's a great character, but he looks messed up.
He looks terrifying. Yeah. Overall, I really enjoyed the episode. Even like the Iris stuff, I didn't mind that much just because they handled that scene pretty realistically where he's like, hey, so like, yeah, things are weird between us. I would like us to just be friends and be normal.
Yeah. I really liked this. Oh, I can see the future. You know, in the future, you're happy with it. That was
you're happy with someone else, and we're just cool. And she's
they
like,
didn't dwell on it.
Yeah,
they did not dwell. I was happy with that.
Very
Eddie's gonna be a bad guy, right? This isn't gonna end well for Iris.
He's gonna be like a bad guy for.
He's either gonna be a bad guy or he's gonna do Merlin Jr. and get killed, and we're all gonna feel real sad about it.
Something like that. I think he's gonna become a villain, and then like realize it's wrong, and then he'll get killed in the process.
No, I think Flash tries to save him and fails, and it's the first person that he fails to save, breaks Iris's heart. She doesn't trust the Flash anymore. Now I can never tell her that I'm the Flash because it broke her heart. And
You know, it'd be real cool if she finds out who it is and they get together and we all just move on from it.
Another show came back from mid-season this week, Arrow, which one of my favorite installments of all time.
Yeah, it was a really good episode. It was really solid.
For me, prior to this, the Flash crossover episode was the best episode of Arrow. For me, I really liked it. This is now my favorite episode. Yeah. Very
Why
solid.
is it your favorite?
Because the supporting characters had something to do. You said that a lot, but they did. They were developed. I liked Roy more. He was kind of silly with his riding the motorcycle. Like, ooh, this is fun. Like, you know, kind of like a Robin aspect to it. Diggle Diggle had something to do, especially his fight with Brick.
I love the fight with Brick because the way Vinnie Jones brings that tough guy star power to it, and it's immediately threatening, even though he's like 50 years old.
Right.
Really?
And I also
like a little chunky.
But Diggle's always been more physically bigger.
He's a brawler.
Yeah, he's bigger, and so like they set up Brick, and then you see Diggle's. It's like I'm excited to see Diggle like straight up throw down with somebody, and I was sitting there going like, you can't kill Diggle, you can't kill him, man, you can't, because that feels like a pretty solid switcheroo, because we know Ollie's coming back if they like off Diggle as a permanent. It's like don't man, just don't. I was really afraid for him.
But that's the thing. You were afraid. I felt like there was a level of danger in this episode, even
Because
though
Ollie wasn't around to save the day.
Like I was really worried about there being like an Ollie vacuum. Like when your star is gone, everyone else has to step up, and the writers have to be able to supply them with something that feels real. And having them grapple with the fact that Ollie might not be coming back at all, while learning how to function as a team without him, was very thrilling to watch. Especially because no one feels safe right now.
Yeah.
I don't like that Ollie is already alive again. I would have liked that to maybe have been stretched out over a couple
I'm
episodes.
glad because we all know it was going to happen.
Sure.
So I'm glad that I think there's an episode like 4 or 5 weeks from now called The Return. Who wants to bet he's going to actually return to Starling in that episode? But I like that this is the first time this season I think that the flashbacks actually added something to the overarching story.
I didn't care about the flashbacks prior to this.
Yeah, but it actually added to the final reveal and some emotional heft to that. I also really liked when he's swinging from the building and he's supposed to do that badass moment where he kicks through the window and he just kind of like hits it. It's like that feels like how that would go down.
Yeah,
from time
absolutely.
To time.
I connected most with Felicity's character because it was just like she has had it.
Yeah.
She's had it. Like she's lost all these people over such a short
She's
amount
the
of time.
heart of the show.
No, I love it, and I think she got to grow the most in this episode, at least from my perspective. I very much connected with her character.
But you're
and
right,
Ray.
with Oliver gone, everybody had to step. Now, finally, Diggle seems to have more of a function than he's had in a while. Roy's filling the role of the masked guy doing the crazy stuff. Diggle's doing the heavy lifting. Roy's the masked one of the group, you know?
I even liked Ray more than ever. I like just his moment. It's just like a really nicely acted moment when he's like, "You can't do that. Like you don't get to do that. Bringing up my dead fiance, you don't get to do.
You don't get to do that. But I will say that it looks like they're setting him up to be kind of an Iron Man knockoff, and he better somewhere along the line accidentally shrink himself and figure out like that's his thing. Because I just recently watched Darkheart on Justice League Unlimited, which is kind of an Atom-focused episode, and the character's so cool. When you do him right, Adam is so cool.
Had you never seen that before?
I don't think I did. I don't think when I first watched it. So it's
On
so
Justice League
good.
what?
Justice League
Justice
Unlimited,
League
the
Unlimited.
cartoon.
Oh yeah,
You've
that's
never-
on Netflix. I started watching it because of what you said. You started watching it, but there's a lot.
There's
a lot of
There's a lot, but
episodes.
it's all worth it. It's all worth it.
Do you think Ray is going to be some sort of villain?
No.
Do you ever get that vibe? Because he's being really secretive, like with what was that project about the AI?
OMAC.
Yeah,
thank
but that's
you.
becoming the Atom now. I don't think so, unless his suit gets like hijacked by OMAC or something, and then he's being controlled by something like that.
He's being a little devious, even though there's like a good intention. I think something is going to go wrong.
It's
Maybe,
possible.
because there isn't a clear villain yet besides Roz.
Yeah.
Besides Roz, kind of.
Yeah.
But he's not really.
Well,
a
we
villain.
What
got
about
Brick.
Malcolm
We've got Brick.
Merlin?
And
Kinda.
how great was Merlin was the biggest douche this episode. The biggest douche. And I also like the little things again with Brick, like when it's a speech about a bunch of papers in a truck. And it was one of the most threatening speeches in the show. Like, you know what I mean? Like his threat is, I'm going to mail these to the cops. But I was like, oh, geez. And then we got Laurel finally stepping up and being
Thank
cool.
you.
Again, another
Yeah.
character that stepped up this episode because Oliver wasn't around. Laurel made a big improvement, actually comforting Felicity. And then she got her moment of, it's like, yes, more of this. More of Laurel kicking ass.
Even
please.
when she wasn't in the suit, even when she was in court, I felt like she was electric in a way that she hasn't been before, attacking that
Agreed.
dude on the stand.
And I liked how they used the court scene because that established that the only reason that the vigilante can put anybody away is because they have evidence to support it. If the evidence goes because the vigilante arrested you, they have nothing to hold you against. So once the evidence left, there was literally nothing
It's
to
an
hold them in.
important distinction to make. It makes it feel a little more real.
And those little details help overcome when in episodes like The Flash where there aren't like police snipers. It helps keep the show elevated.
Yeah.
So Brick is bulletproof.
Yeah,
correct?
I have no idea how that. In the
Let's
comics,
see how they
comics
explain
he
it.
literally has like
Metahuman?
he has like brick like skin and stuff like that. So I don't know I did like his little the head. Nobody ever tries that. They should.
I love
The
Vinny
hilarious
Jones.
thing to me is, did you guys ever watch that show, The Cape?
No, I did not.
tried to.
He was a villain on that show called Scales, and it's just like
that's right.
he's just the dude, and he was the Juggernaut.
He was
it's just
also,
like, hey, we got a superhero show. Let's Vinny Jones available. Let's just make him the big guy.
But the goofiest scene in the episode for me was when Felicity's like, I'm done. And she walks up the stairs and it's this nice shot. And then Diggle and Arsenal are just standing there and suddenly the lights go off.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the? Because just walking up, so she just decided to shut the lights on them as
a
some
dick.
sort of like bitch move. Like, fuck you guys,
But at the same
I'm leaving.
time, it was a beautiful shot, and
Yeah.
like the black and white around them with the spot, and it was just like
True, but
beauty.
now they're lost.
And
kinda in
also,
the dark.
favorite moment of the episode: Malcolm Merlin is in the headquarters, and Diggle pulls a gun, and then and he's like, guns just annoy me, and then he just pulls a second gun, and I'm just like, Diggle, I don't know when I ever stopped like really, really loving you. I love you so much.
Diggle's
right now.
great.
In terms of news this week, big news came down today: the casting of Supergirl for CBS. Melissa Benoist from Glee and Whiplash. Now,
Yep.
I've never seen her in anything.
Me neither.
You've seen Whiplash, and you said
Which-
she's great in it.
Whiplash is amazing. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It might be the best movie of the year. And she's awesome in it.
praise.
It's kind of like Rooney Mara and Social Network. Not a lot of scenes, but makes the most out of the scenes she's in. So good for her, making that CBS money.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. She's at least, it's not the typical like blonde whatever. Like she's a talented actress. I'm excited to see her in the role.
No, it's exciting that they made that choice, because you have to imagine, right? A show like this, she didn't get an offer.
Yeah.
Lots of people probably read for this, so they probably picked someone not just who had award season heat from Whiplash, but just who is a solid actress that they want to
True.
bank a huge franchise on.
And I think she'll do a great job.
Yeah, I'm excited. I really do hope that all that intersects because I think that'll be really cool.
In terms of Suicide Squad, Jake Gyllenhaal did not take the part that Tom Hardy vacated, so now it might be down to Joel Edgerton or to Mr. John Bernthal, Shane from The Walking Dead. DJ does not like John Bernthal.
I don't care. I am glad that Jake Gyllenhaal turned it down because if you've seen Nightcrawler, he needs to be some sort of crazy villain. He needs to be something like more crazy than just the military.
See,
leader
I would have been
guy.
more interested in seeing his Joker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Been cool.
Yes, I've said for
But-
a while that he should be Joker, and then we can all pretend that Donnie Darko's like the origin of the Joker and him losing his mind.
That movie
Cool.
is that movie.
Yes.
That movie is whoo.
Yeah.
But good news, you got some crazy people. We have possibly Gary Sinise coming into Suicide Squad as General Eiling.
Which
That'd be
is
cool.
great casting.
Yeah. Not confirmed, but would be
Yeah,
very cool.
Very cool. Would be very nice. Also, in comic book news, the Marvel Universe is going away and being replaced by Battleworld.
Right. So
seems-
the Marvel Universe and the Ultimate Universe will no longer exist after this new event. Battleworld is going to be these two competing for
Well, and it's
dominance or
it's a
something.
bunch of different continuities all smashed together, and it's going to start in the Secret Wars crossover, which there was a Secret Wars crossover way back in the day in the 80s that also dealt with a different version of Battleworld. And it's like, I don't want to be a naysayer. It just feels like, I feel like Marvel's taking a road to like a new 52 style reboot, and they're just taking the longest
That's what I was
road
about to
possible
ask,
to
yeah.
get there. I think this is a way to test out like, because you're going to have a bunch of different Spider-Mans running around and a bunch of different Wolverines and a bunch of different whatever. And I think it's a way to get people maybe used to that idea so that, I mean, if they decide to like jettison Peter Parker for Miles Morales or fuse the two characters, something like that, and maybe this eases them into the idea. It doesn't, it strikes me as a little bit desperate. And the main editor at Marvel always said that if they crossed over the Ultimate Universe and the Marvel Universe, that was the official sign that they were out of ideas. And so the Spider-Man from the Ultimate Universe and the main Spider-Man crossed over a couple years back, but I think this is you guys, it might be out of.
Whoops.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah.
It all depends on the stories. We'll see. But leaving Secret Wars, all that's going to be left is Battleworld and not those two universes.
Okay.
I don't know.
No.
Yeah, we'll see how it turns out. I'm not super crazy about the idea, but then again, I don't know. I'm always happy to be surprised,
Yes.
especially with big event series,
Yeah.
because you want them to be great, and then Mixed bag.
Yeah,
Always mixed bag.
Yeah, speaking of event series, Rick Remender is just coming out of his big event that was kind of horseshit called Axis, not his fault, and getting back to the Uncanny Avengers, which is a series that he was really good at. Still miss his Uncanny X-Force was amazing. Anyway, and over on the DC end next week, you've got Gotham by Midnight, which follows a eclectic squad of police and nuns and shit that take care of the mystical situations in Gotham, and they're led by the Spectre, by the guy, by the guy that is the Spectre.
Is Etrigan gonna be thrown in and out?
I mean, that would be great. And over at Valiant, they have Quantum and Woody Must Die, which is a continuation of the Quantum and Woody series, which is hilarious, and I highly recommend it. They're the worst superheroes in the world.
Oh, you told me about that.
And great misadventures come out of that.
Great. Well, folks, thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of Superhero Roundup. You can find us here every Friday talking about your favorite superhero stuff. I'm Matt Lieberman.
I Sam.
I'm DJ.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
I was wondering, because we were talking about maybe a Suicide Squad spinoff instead of an Atom, so just Diggle has something to do.
Yeah.
What if, because Diggle's more integral to what Arrow's doing than Arsenal is, what about a Teen Titans spinoff that Arsenal can be in with a couple other sidekicks?
That makes fucking sense.
That'd
We're
be
talking
cool.
about the CW, aren't
They
we?
already have a
because-
Teen Titans
I know,
over
but
on
maybe
TNT or
that
some
won't work
shit.
out. Maybe that won't work because Arsenal is probably the most useless in that team, unfortunately. And Roy was cool.
Before
until
he
they
was
put on the
Arsenal.
costume.
Yeah.
I don't
He
need
served
him
a
to
purpose.
front a new show. I don't think he should front a new show.
Oh, he doesn't need to front it. Just be over there.
Be over there.
So that he's not fucking up Arrow.
Yeah.